Burgundy Ballers, welcome back to another episode, a late episode, mind you, of the Ballin in Burgundy podcast. Guys, I know it's been a while, but June and July is such an NFL dead zone. You know when you're driving through the woods on the highway and it's just woods, so you can't get no cell reception? It's like that with NFL news. But we're coming at you guys back with another episode. We're going to talk some ball. We're going to talk some pre-July 20th meeting thoughts of what's going to happen. We're going to do an offensive draft. Before we guys, I need y'all to do two things. One, hit like and subscribe here on the video and here on the channel, Ballin in Burgundy on YouTube. Head over to Instagram, Ballin in Burgundy Podcast over there and on TikTok. And secondly, I need y'all to recognize the guest we have on, an undrafted free agent out of West Texas A&M back in 08. That's a long time for me. Back in 08, played for the Dolphins, the Jags, bounced around with Cleveland and Dallas, but primarily played with our Washington Redskins, number 13. He is a co-host with the Believe in Commanders podcast with Brian Murphy, an award-winning realtor down in Frisco, Texas, and a personal trainer with Camp Gladiator. Guys, the one and only Mr. Anthony Armstrong.
Hey, what's going on, folks? John, I appreciate the intro, man. That's good. I got to keep you on the payroll. If you're gonna bring me in like that, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for staying up late. I know y'all are spanning the whole nation, so I appreciate y'all working with my schedule to have me on.
No, we appreciate you because 10 o'clock our time is, is late on our side. So the fact that even with, being about 8:30, 9 o'clock on their side, that can be a little late.
Hey, well, I'm not that old now. I can stay up a little bit. Now, that's y'all young folks stay up. As long as I get to bed by about 11 o'clock, I'm pretty good. So I try to stay to that, and we'll be all right from there.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. What's up, Andrew? What's up, Justin? We got the whole crew here for once in a while.
Here, it's the first time in a while we've gotten everybody together. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun episode. We've got a special idea planned out. It'll be fun.
Yes, sir. This episode's going to be very special.
Yeah. Let's kick things off. So, guys, again, for those who don't know, Mr. Armstrong here, like I said, undrafted free agent out of West Texas A&M. Went to the Dolphins, undrafted in 08, primarily played with us from 09 to 2012. Bounced around from Jacksonville to Dallas to Cleveland from 2012 to the tail end of 2014. Now is a realtor in Texas, has his own podcast with Brian Murphy, personal trainer. He looks in great shape. Again, just, appreciate you coming on and welcome to B.I.B.
Oh yeah, man. It's taken me a while to really like embrace the whole like journey of everything. Like honestly, like this stuff you talk about my setup before we hit record. Like I didn't have that stuff on the walls. I didn't have that stuff out. You know what I mean? I've always been a guy that's just like keep your head down, keep chopping wood. You kind of look up every now and again to make sure you're on the right track and then keep going. But it took me a little while to finally come up and say, man, you got to be proud of the stuff that you accomplished and being able to get to the league and live that dream and put that stuff on display. So I'm glad to do it now. It's good to have a reminder. Got my first touchdown picture up above my head to the left over there, the one against Green Bay. I feel like that's the only highlight I have, but damn it, it's a good one. So I'm glad I got that one,
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. If I say first touchdown, if I play football, it'd be that one and my last one I probably have up on the wall.
I'm fortunate enough that my first one was not my last one. So I was able to catch another couple of them. I definitely love when I run into Giants fans. I'm like, man, I love playing the Giants. Had 3 touchdowns on y'all in my whole career, man. So anytime New York came across the schedule, that was one I would circle because I knew I could get some money on that one.
There you go.
Dude, you were just the...
And, of course, is Mike muted, of course.
Hating on Justin right now.
Yeah, sorry about that. Dude, you were a beast back in the day, man. I mean, let's be real, Armstrong. Yeah, you were a really good, dependable wide receiver for us, man. I just wish you had more years and touchdowns.
Man, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. I wish I would have got to finish up in Washington. Y'all were the first ones to embrace me and bring me in, accept me, even though they almost ran me off in the very beginning. Whenever I said I was from Dallas, and they were like, you from Dallas? I don't know if we can have you be here wearing the burgundy and gold. And then I actually also said maroon and gold at first, and then I quickly people corrected me on that one as well. They're like, "Hey, it's burgundy and gold." I was like, "Okay, my bad, my bad." Where I went to college, it was maroon. So I was like, "All right, cool, it's the same thing." They're like, "Nah, it's not the same. It's burgundy and gold." But I'm glad, I'm proud that we wore the burgundy and gold. Man, it was a strong franchise, and there's good things coming up in a couple of weeks, in probably about a week. So there's a lot to look forward to with this team and with this whole organization, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's like 9 teams in the college football that wear maroon. West Texas A&M, Texas A&M, FSU. I mean, it's too many to count. I just listed 3 right there, and there's probably 4 more I'm missing. But there's definitely a few. But I kind of let you know ahead of time. Hey, we might ask a few questions. I'll let Justin and Andrew start just because I kicked it off and let them do some of the talking as well.
Okay.
All righty, Mr. Armstrong. We're not going to go too crazy here. I promise you.
Okay, that's a bet.
So, being a Redskins player, how did that make you feel? I mean, you were undrafted. You didn't really get a chance up until they gave you that chance.
How did it feel to play for Washington? Man, honestly, I wasn't really worried about what team it was that I got to play with, right? If you go all the way back, you go way, way back when you guys were little babies in elementary school. I was like graduating college and getting about to be done with college, and I wanted to get to the NFL and didn't go straight there. Had a tryout, failed a physical, and just kind of bounced around. It took 3 years before I finally made it back to the NFL. Right, I played arena ball. For 3 seasons. And by the time I got to the league, man, it was just about like getting on the field. Like I knew I needed to get in front of the right people and just get on the field. Cause I realized I'm like, man, I can do this stuff. I can play this game. I just got to get the right opportunity and I have to be prepared for it. And so Morocco Brown, he's no longer with the Redskins or the Commanders, but he was the director of player personnel at the time. He brought me in. He told me what it was, and I decided to stick there. And even at the end of that 09 season, Jacksonville tried to pick me up off of their practice squad, and I turned it down to stay in Washington. New GM, new head coach, new offensive coordinator coming through. I said, I'm gonna roll the dice and bet on myself. I'm gonna bet on me, with knowing that they aren't tied to the previous, receivers and the previous players on the field. They didn't care. They wanted the people that were going to help them moving forward. So I rolled the dice. It worked out well. And the first game I played was against Dallas. And so hearing all the "we hate Dallas" and then going through that and then winning that game, you remember that was the one where Tony Romo threw an incompletion at the end of the game to Roy Williams. And the headline of, I guess, the Washington Post had Tony Romo walking across the field with his head down. Way in the back, you see this little silhouette of this like player just jumping in the air with his fist pumping. That was me. I was so excited to win that game. One, because it's my hometown team, the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I grew up, I loved the Cowboys growing up. So then to get to beat them in my first game, it meant a lot. It was kind of a full circle moment. And I was like, man, can't believe I'm in the league. This is crazy. So it meant a lot to play, and it means even more to play for that organization just because of the people that I've met there and the friendships and the relationships that I've been able to build.
Yep. Yeah. Last one for me. Who is your favorite teammate or mentor as a Redskins player or coach?
Man, there's so many names. Obviously, the first one that's going to come to mind inside of that receiver room is Santana Moss. I mean, that's a big brother right there. I literally just kind of took everything that he did. Right? Yeah, I see you got Santana there. Anything that he did, right? Taking care of your body, chiropractor, masseuse, how you work in practice. Like I just followed him. When I first got there, you had Antoine Randall. I followed behind him, and I've told plenty of people this before. It seems like my whole NFL experience was like, it was almost like a fan winning a prize, getting to be on an NFL roster. Like everybody I lined up against or like I met, I was like, oh my God, I played with you on Madden. Like, wow, Charles Woodson. Oh my God, D'Angelo Hall. Like, shit, I'm lined up in part. Sorry. I'm lined up across from D'Angelo Hall and Charles Woodson. And I'm like, I'm just this kid from Carrollton, Texas, right? Like, this is crazy. So Santana was one. Obviously, love Lorenzo, Alexander, London Fletcher, Kendrick Golston. Darrell Young was a homeboy that I kicked it with a lot. Shoot, man, it was locker mates with Reed Dowdy. And then as I get older, there's a lot of younger guys that I was able to make, good friendships with. But those are a few of the guys that come to mind. You know, it's like you kind of, whenever you meet up with them again, you just pick up where you left off. Everything is good. I was texting with Santana the other day, matter of fact. So hopefully I'll get to run into him here in a couple of weeks when I go back up to Virginia.
That's awesome. So much stuff that goes on just off the football field that's meaningful, I'm sure, and has contributed to a lot of awesome memories. So my question is sort of going to revolve around a more modern standpoint with the team. You having a firsthand experience with how an NFL receiving corps works and what makes it successful. What do you think about our current team's wide receiver corps? What do you think that they're capable of, and what do we need to do to ensure that happens?
Great question, Andrew. That's a great question. I think this is a top 10, probably top 8 receiving corps. You can probably argue, how high or low you want them to go. But I think it's one of those things where there's a lot to be proven, right? You need to see everybody really show up. I mean, Samuel had about 650 last year. Jahan had like 500 and some change, but also had 7 touchdowns, something like that, right? So he was able to get in the end zone and miss 4 games. Terry is Terry. He's going to get you 1,100, 1,200 yards. Very consistent guy. And when you come in, you think about the Smurfs, right? You think about those days where the guys are all 5'9", 5'10", and that's how tall these guys are. But they're so dynamic with the ball in their hands, right? And what I see them doing this year, especially with Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy's offense, is getting the ball to these guys in space and let them do what they do after the catch, right? You're not looking at a Mike Evans at 6'5". You're not, you don't have big, physically imposing receivers, which is perfectly fine because these guys can get busy outside, inside. They can find their way to get open, and they're going to make plays for you. So for this group to have success, really it's going to go all the way back to the offensive line. You got to make sure those guys keep the quarterback upright. But from what I've seen from Sam Howell, I'm very impressed. I mean, I like what this guy brings to the table. Everybody wants to, go on and on. He's only thrown 17 passes and he's only played 1 game. I'm like, you got at least three teams in this league are handing the keys to some rookie quarterbacks who have 0 snaps. Okay. They have 0 snaps. CJ Stroud down there in Houston, Bryce Young in Carolina, and Anthony Richardson probably going to be the starter in Indy. They have 0 snaps. They don't know what they're going to see. All right, what they're going to see in preseason and training camp, very vanilla. But whenever they start seeing different robbers and guys, they're going to kind of be like, oh, this isn't what I prepared for. Sam Howell's at least been in the locker room. He's been in the quarterback room. He's gotten to learn, and his accuracy is something that really stands out to me. And as much as you've heard from Terry, Curtis, Jahan, Logan Thomas, I mean, the list goes on. They like this guy. So for this group to be successful, number one, health is going to be important. You got to be on the field because I got to believe that Eric Bieniemy, in the kitchen is cooking up some things to get you guys wide open and be in much favorable matchups. And all Sam has to do is just deliver the ball to the right person and let them go and cook. So this is a top 10 group, top 8, like I said. And I feel like it's a stretch that they would all get 1,000 yards, but I do think that everybody could probably get. I think Terry could get 1,200, 1,300. Jahan could probably be pushing 1,000, and then Curtis could be pushing 1,000, maybe 800 or so. I think that's kind of what you're looking like from this crew.
Yeah, I mean, this season's going to change a lot with a new offensive coordinator who we love, a quarterback who I see with a lot of potential, highly praised from our receivers, from our coaches, not looked at as super like he has a lot of potential by other people, but I think we see what other people aren't seeing. Now he really could be a super interesting, dynamic, good quarterback in the league. It's interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's almost an unfair comparison, right? Any quarterback that's not taken in the first round, they're already ready to turn the page on them, right? Even though the GOAT of the game, most championships by a quarterback, Tom Brady was what, fifth, sixth rounder, right? But nobody ever sits there and says, "Ooh, this sixth rounder is going to be the guy," right? Nobody ever says that. And when everybody's beating that drum saying, "Go do whatever you got to do to get a quarterback," you've been down that road. You've been down that road for 25 some odd years, just trying to get somebody. Now you have a chance to build somebody in house. You got a brand new OC. Who cares what's going on in the ownership side of things? You can focus on what's on the field. I think you've gotten past the bumpy road of two rebrands. You've gotten past, and I'm using air quotes. You've gotten past the investigations. You already know an ownership change is going to happen. So there's going to be a lot of things that are in the past that all you get to focus on now moving forward is football, man. And you should be excited for Sam Howell. I mean, I wouldn't expect him to go out here and have a Patrick Mahomes season. I don't think that that's fair to him, but I don't need him to. You know what I mean? I don't need him to. I think that if you go position by position, I think you could argue that the Washington roster probably a little bit better across the board than Kansas City, at least positionally. The receivers aren't as good as what you have in Washington this year. You could say that when they had Tyreek Hill, that's a different animal, but he's not there anymore, and they still won the Super Bowl, right? I mean, you got some guys like Juju Smith-Schuster. They picked up Kadarius Toney. Obviously, Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. I mean, he's one of the best in the game. So, but outside of that, they don't really have a lot of guys that are just like, oh yeah, we'll just hand it to him and he's going to take care of it. So, I like what's in Washington. I like what they're going to be able to do this year.
For sure. My last question is going to be a little bit more specific. Referring to the draft that just happened, we got an undrafted free agent wide receiver, Kazmir Allen, who we have seen and has shown really good stuff, shown potential. Specifically to him, you know this, but what does it take to achieve the success that you had in entering the league and being able to play? What does he need to do to take on a role that we're hoping he can take on, sort of as you did?
Man, I think the way Kaz is sitting, and I think the way, at least the way you read in the media, is that he's probably going to be doing some return duty, right? Being able to kick return, punt return. And I've always said when I was playing, I'm like, if you take a kick to the house in the preseason, you're going to be on a roster for a good 2 or 3 years. Right, it's something that doesn't happen often, but if you take a kick to the house, you're going to be on a team for a while because that's a part of the game that you don't expect to get a kick return for a touchdown, but when you do, you know that that's something that's going to really help turn the tide and turn momentum. So if he's able to be explosive in the return game and be secure with the ball, no fumbling, no muff punts, things of that nature, that's going to be a great start. Now, if he finds that he's going to be able to learn the offense and make some plays on offense here and there, maybe not with the ones, but just when he gets his chance, that's going to help solidify his chances. And frankly, Andrew, it's not fair in the league. It's not. There's a story they always told about Jimmy Johnson, how Troy Aikman fell asleep in a meeting. And he's like, if Troy falls asleep, I'm going to pat him on his shoulder. I'm going to fine him, and I'm going to tell him to wake up and pay attention. But if you, undrafted free agent, fall asleep in a meeting, I'm going to tap you on your shoulder and tell you to pack your stuff up because you're cut. It's not the same. It's not fair, right? So Terry McLaurin can make a mistake. Jahan can make a mistake. Kazmir Allen can't make any mistakes. For what that's worth, he has to be perfect. He has to do his job, even if the ball doesn't go his way. They want to see effort. They want to see him covering down on kickoffs, punts, doing all those things that he can to get his chance. Because you got to think, top 3 guys are the top 3 guys. They're not going anywhere unless Kaz shows out that he can really be that dude, and then they decide that maybe they can get not work with one of the guys, probably Curtis or for whatever reason. That'd be a long shot, but I don't see that happening. So he's going to have to find ways outside of his position to actually make an impact on the field.
That's what I got. Thank you. That's awesome.
Man, y'all are throwing heavy hitters. I'm thinking of questions. I'm like, man, these questions and answers, I can't think of nothing. Can't think of nothing. I'm out here looking to do my research. I'm like, man, we got like 8 undrafted free agent wide receivers, and we got this many on the roster. I know who's gonna make it, who's not. I'm like, I couldn't ask for a better answer. I couldn't.
Well, I mean, that's what I do now. I've been paying attention to the squad. I've been glad to get back into paying attention to the team. It's frankly, before I really I would watch ball, but I wasn't really like following it that hard. But then this past year, I was like, man, let me see what they're doing. I like what they're doing now. I mean, I took a visit up there last December, was able to get a tour of the facility and get down and watch a little bit of practice. And I told the guy giving us the tour, I said, 2 years ago, this wouldn't have happened. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right. It wouldn't have happened at all. Just we wouldn't have, former players wouldn't have had access to that, right? It's not as welcoming. But being able to walk through that building, show my family and my kids, where I used to work, I can say like some of the changes. I was like, this isn't a good thing. Like everybody can eat at the facility. Like that is not football. That used to not happen back in the day. Like if you weren't on the football side of things, you didn't get to eat downstairs. So, it's just a small thing that goes overlooked. But when you treat everybody right, then you're going to give yourself a chance to have some success. And that stuff feeds its way through the organization. There's a lot of good things going on over there. I know that NFLPA survey came out, and they had the team ranked last in a lot of things. It's an old facility. It is what it is. But I'm gonna break it to y'all for real. The teams that got really good scores are the teams that just got new facilities, new stadiums. Most of these stadiums and most of these facilities are old. That's what it is in the league. A lot of colleges, Alabama's, Texas, you name it, they have better facilities than NFL teams. Okay, so that's just the fact of the matter. So you say, oh, it's a bad facility. It's like, man, it is. It's not great, but I've been in a lot of them that are not great as well, and it's just it's almost par for the course. It shouldn't necessarily be that way, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I think with the new ownership and everything that all the rumors saying, oh, we're going to return to RFK or we're going to build a new stadium. I think some of it might come because I went to FedEx Field the first time back in November. I went to the Commanders Vikings game. That was my first ever Washington game. My dad was up there in DC for a trip. I was like, I'll come for the game. He got tickets really cheap. I met Justin. I met a lot of our other guys, Rio Robinson and Tony, Protect Sports Network. All the guys, and like I really enjoyed it. But getting up to FedEx Field itself, I parked down towards the lower end of the hill because like half price for parking. I was like, I'll take it. And then it's a true walk up the hill to FedEx, and you got to find a specific gate. If you're on 206 and you walk in on the east side, prepare your mile. It's a hike around FedEx. It is a hike, and it's for as old as it is, because it's what, a 20, I think it's a 25-year-old stadium. I think it's older than I am. And I just turned 21 last month.
Happy birthday.
Well, I appreciate it. It's for as old as it is, it's still holding, but the fact that we've had railings collapse, our sewage system from the outside looking in, with all the reports and all the media, it looks like a bad stadium. Fan experience is not good. But then when you hear guys like Jason Wright and Ron and EB saying within the next 2 years, all of this will change and all of this will be revamped, and we may return to RFK, we may get a new stadium in Woodbridge, which would mess up the traffic, but anywhere you put a stadium will mess up traffic. I think things will continue, but I do agree with, and that's a great point, is the teams that score the most points, Kansas City, not the Rams this past season, but their Super Bowl season, the Chargers, Dallas, Philly, they've all got relatively new stadiums in the last 20 years with actual facilities. Cincinnati, I think, is building a new facility. Cincinnati or Cleveland. I think it's one of the two. I forget which Ohio team.
It's probably Cincinnati.
Probably.
Cincinnati, they're one of those teams that are notoriously cheap.
Yeah.
The Cardinals is another one of the teams that's notoriously cheap. Like you hear about players getting like one pair of cleats for the whole year. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, give the man some shoes. You know what I mean? I went D2. So I understand, like, hey, you get one pair of cleats and you better make these suckers last all the way through, at least through the off season, because you're not going to get another pair. But you'd be surprised at just the lack of You think everything's a first class experience. It's not all a first class experience, but you're not going to the league for the facilities, right? You're not going to the NFL for that. I would love the experience to be better for fans. I saw the sewage at FedEx. That wasn't cool. I wasn't too excited to see that. And Jalen Hurts almost getting crushed walking up the tunnel. I don't like that either. Even though he's an opposing quarterback, I'd rather you do it on the field rather than happening, from fans leaning over trying to give him some high fives. But I would love, and I've always, after hearing just everybody speak about RFK, I would love for them to play a couple games there. Like, even if it was just one game, and you already know you got to play Dallas at RFK. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess that if they don't like the owner, then they probably wouldn't let those deals happen. But after this thing goes down, I wouldn't be surprised if there was something that says, "Hey, we got to have a DC series where there's a couple of games that come back to DC." Hell, let's play all of the NFC East teams in DC. Like, that would be a vibe. That would be something to think about. I mean, shoot, people would show up for all those games. That place would be rocking. The energy would be up. And then it ends up being a special thing. It ends up being a special moment to be able to go to those games. So I don't know. Don't let me get going down that road, because I get a lot of creative thoughts about it. But RFK would be great. Woodbridge, that's just way the hell out there, man. I don't want to go way the hell to Woodbridge. I don't want to go out there. I'd rather you revamp FedEx Field in Landover and make that thing right, rather than send them all the way down to Woodbridge.
Yeah, Woodbridge is already a busy area. You got the Nova Hospital, you got all the Tyson's Corner. Like, you already got traffic galore. I was just up there, like I said, I go through Woodbridge to get to DC. Nightmare area. It is rough. It is rough. But no, I think having creative ideas and thoughts about being better helps the overall idea, because if you being a foreign player said, I don't have any ideas, I can't help you. Yeah. Well, now that doesn't help them. But if you say, hey, for the time that you did play, if you said, hey, I have 2 of these ideas, to me they're great, but to you they could be already in the works. What do you think? And people could say, oh, this should happen. The series at RFK. I would love that. You played, the NFC East teams at RFK. You wear the black uniforms there, make it work, and they've got to wear their all whites to really show their thing. I would love that. I think you make it a 2-day event. The Saturday, you can do a tour of RFK. You could get there, like, you do something for fans at Saturday, and you have the game on Sunday. Let's say we only win 2 of those 3 games. Most older Washington fans and current fans will sell out RFK like that.
Oh yeah.
And we should just take charge of that.
Say again.
Never mind.
No, say that again. I didn't hear it.
I like the creativity. I feel like we should just be the ones in charge of these ideas.
Well, I mean, you know what? I mean, that's what you start tweeting stuff and tagging Jason Wright and say, hey, man, just in case you want to have some ideas of what to do next year. Hell, you got people over there trying to call for this man's job. My message to anybody that's trying to call for his job, Ron Rivera's job, I mean, you got to think. Ron Rivera's had to handle more extracurricular off the field stuff than anybody else in NFL history. Nobody's ever had to deal with the ownership change, investigation, congressional investigation, mind you, not just some old regular old NFL's got to ask some questions. This is some like federal investigation going on into your workplace structure and culture. They brought him in to change that. And from all accounts, I've seen that stuff has changed. There's been some growth and improvement. Has the stuff on the field improved that much? No, not really. I mean, it's been 7-9, 8-8. That's kind of what they are. But in some circumstances, you kind of have to be like, you know what? You kind of held it down. And I would like to think that the team is better now than what it was, whenever he came into it. How long has it been since you've had not just 1, but 2 of your superstar players decide to re-sign and stay with the team? I can't tell you when there's been 2 of them, right? Deron Payne signs early on the franchise. He gets the franchise, but then signs early on. They didn't even let it drag out. They were like, let's get this deal done. Terry McLaurin, another guy, got that deal done to keep him in the building. So when players want to stay, that tells me that there's good things going on in the building. right? I mean, I was there at a time where it was very much we're not going to re-sign our core guys or anybody that's talented, and then frankly, a lot of guys didn't want to stay. They wanted to leave. They didn't want to be in that building anyway. So to see that you have guys that do want to hang around and actually be a part of something lets me know that you're on the right track. And hopefully y'all don't have the next 25 years to be so frustrating. As Washington's fans, you'll be able to enjoy some success. Maybe a Super Bowl or two over the time.
I'll just take a playoff win. I will just take a playoff win. I'll be happy with it. Well, we almost had it against Tampa 3 years ago, but random sheriff going offsides and going 10 yards down the field when Taylor threw a dot to, I think Logan Thomas like 20 yards down, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, ineligible man down the field, bring your ass back. I'm like, wait. Even if it was only a field goal, it goes from a 6-point difference to a 3 against Brady. It would have been a little bit sweeter, but I do agree. I had a friend of mine who is an Eagles fan. I'm like, all right, I don't want to hear your opinion, but I'm curious what you have to say. And he said based on success rate, attendance, facilities, but then what the future looks like, he said you guys are the current Jackson State. You guys were this, you knew what you were getting from Jackson State, but then someone like a Deion Sanders came in and elevated them, elevated the facilities, made them care. That's what Ron, EB, Jason Wright, you re-sign John Allen, Deron Payne, Terry McLaurin. You bring in some quality pieces over the years. Now you look better for what the future is going to hold with new ownership. And I was like, I don't want to say you're right, but you're onto something.
You can give the Philly fan a little love for being right in that aspect, because I mean, honestly, if you look at it, one of our sponsors is Bet Online, and they had the over under 6.5 wins for Washington, and I was like, frankly, I think that's a little low. I think Washington can take that over. I think they can do better than that. This is a 12-win season, not with the way this schedule is set up. Right, this is a schedule where the entire NFC East, I think if you get to 10 wins, you probably win the division, right? I'm afraid that there could be a team that gets swept, right? By a not a division opponent, by one of those mutual opponents like a San Francisco or Buffalo. They could end up sweeping somebody. And I kind of got my eyes on New York being the team that comes up short. I think New York can be fourth in this division. Dallas is always going to be in the mix. Philly, they're coming off of a Super Bowl berth, so you have to anticipate that they're going to still play well. But Washington is going to surprise some people. I really think that they are definitely more than 7 wins. I think they could get to about 8 or 9. And probably sneak into a little wild card position there in the playoffs. That's what I see for this team, right? I don't think that it's we almost got it. Like, no, you're making the playoffs. I called this at the end of last year. I said these guys are going to be in the playoffs in 2023, and I stand by that. I bang on the table if the kids weren't sleeping, but silently, I'm banging on the table saying they're going to be in the playoffs in 2023. You just got to be patient with it. You just got to believe me and trust in this. Trust me.
I trust you and I believe you. I mean, just remember, guys, NFC East curse, baby. You know that? What is it, 26 years straight? No NFC East opponent has repeated going to the playoffs back to back. I mean, Giants went, Philly went, Kyle Shits went. It's our turn. I think Howe's going to take us to the playoffs.
I'm with you. This is the year to do it.
It is. Now, mind you, I say it doesn't have to be a Sam Howell, like, just do it all. You know what I mean? I don't think that that's recipes for success. Nothing against him. Just, I already know that NFL teams are going to try to take away the run and make him do what he does. They don't want to make him make a mistake. They're going to say, hey, you're going to have to throw it. But you have a receiving core that is able to get open against man. They're able to find holes in zones. I'm going to tape my clips since everybody's running their Sam Howell clips. I've already done a breakdown of Sam. I'm separating my clips out. The man can throw from any angle. He has anticipation. He knows where to go with the football. He had this one slant that he threw to Jahan Dotson where he had to throw it sidearmed to go into the next window, right? So there was a lineman getting bull rushed right into front of him. And perfect world, he would have thrown it right where that guy was, but he had to throw it around the lineman. And then Jahan caught it. It was right in his hand. Like, the guy's able to he can play. He's a baller. That's what he is. He's a baller. He reminds me a lot of Rex Grossman. And some people cringe when I say that. And that's just because Rex was a gunslinger. He was going to throw the ball up, and he's like, I don't care. Triple coverage, I don't care. I'm throwing it to Armstrong because I believe in Armstrong. And you love that as a receiver. He did that a couple of times. He'll call a play and look at you. He'll be like, double go. And he looks at you, and you're like, oh, bet. I got you. I already know what you're doing, right? That's the type of guy Rex was. Now, I went back to college to look at their stats. They both played 3 years in college. Rex was at Florida. Obviously, Sam was at North Carolina. They threw the ball 7 different times. Like it was like 1,117 and 1,110. So Sam threw the ball 7 more times in 3 years than Rex did in 3 years. He threw for 1,100 more yards than Rex did in just 3 additional passes with 2 extra games. Okay, so no, but you're like, but look, that takes his average attempts per game down. All right, so he didn't throw the ball as often as Rex did. That was well before your time, but Florida used to throw that ball all over the place. I mean, it was a just let it go, right? Run and shoot type style. They used to fling that ball all over. There you go, the Florida Gators helmet. They used to throw that thing all over the place, right? So you're already thinking, wow, they throw the ball a lot. Sam threw the ball similarly, but it was across 4 games. He had about a 1 point, almost a whole yard more yards per attempt and completion than Rex did. He had like 9.2 versus 8.1. And he had a whole point higher in completion percentage, 63.8 versus like 62 and change. So all of that tells me that Sam Howell puts the ball in a position that guys are going to be able to catch it and do something with it afterwards, rather than catch it and then lose their balance and like just have to fall down for an 8-yard gain. They'll take that 8-yard gain and then take it for 30, right? That's what you're going to see this year. Okay. Like Curtis Samuel getting open underneath, catch it, and he can, go off for 25 yards. Same from Jahan, Terry. All of those things are going to happen. And to me, it just makes more sense to allow Sam to just kind of dish the ball around and let everybody else do their work with what they do best. And I think that's what you're going to get from this team. And if Sam can just deliver the ball, that's all you got to do. It's better quarterback play, better decision making than what we've had in the past. So yeah,
sure. I definitely agree. I think because coming out of college, if he'd gone out and right after year 2, they were saying, "Oh, he would have been a first-round pick, would have been a second-round pick." The reason he went after year 3, even though he had lost his 2-star receivers, his star running back, 3 of his O-line, I think he lost his coordinator or QB coach, and you saw a decrease, but he was still putting up good numbers with essentially a second string team, and you saw he dropped to the 5th. For whatever reason, he dropped to the 5th, but he fell to us in the 5th. And now we're saying, okay, he's got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dawson, Curtis Samuel, his old teammate, and De'Ami Brown, who I think will have an improved role this next season, coming off of what he sort of did last season. You get your old college teammate, you get a bit more skin into the game, I think, and that will help. I think for me, because I don't have high expectations for the offense. I think if Sam does 39, 4,000 yards, you keep the TD interception ratio to about 2-1, maybe 1.6-1. So it's not like a 30 for 30 Jameis Winston, but it could be like 30, let's say 16. It's about even. I can deal with that because it's a true rookie quarterback. You're going into your first season as a starter. It's a new OC. It's a new O-line. It's a new look franchise. I don't want to have you saying, oh, it's got to be a Super Bowl or bust. No, let's win 7 games. Let's make it to 8. Let's get to 9. For me, it's the defense. That's going to be the make or break, because you have John Allen, Deron Payne coming off 11 sacks last season. I think John Allen had 9. Sweat and Chase are in contract years. Cam Curl in a contract year. Jamin Davis is really in a role type year. Even though they really love him, it'll be his 3rd year into the game, really as the number one linebacker on this unit, because you have guys like Bostic, you signed Cody Barton, you have David Mayo, but those are either new or older pieces. Davis has been here since day one as we took over the Commanders. He was here as the Washington football team. And then you have our secondary, Kendall Fuller, Emmanuel Forbes, Quan Martin, Derek Forrest, Cam Curl, I'm missing the safety, Percy Butler, Christian Holmes. Like, you have young quality pieces that need to be put together. I think if anyone's job, I'm not going to call for it because I don't wish anybody take money off their table. I don't wish for that.
Sure.
But if someone was going to be held over fire right now, it'll probably be Jack Del Rio. Because I only say that because you need Chase Young to perform. You really do. If he comes in and gets you 5 sacks in 7 games, okay, it looks promising. But it gets you 5 sacks in 12 games, that's a bit concerning for a number 2 overall pick who was considered a better prospect than the Bosa brothers coming out of college, who had played with Nick in I think 2018 at Ohio State. But he just won Defensive Player of the Year with 18.5 sacks. There wasn't a true number 2 edge rusher alongside with him, but now you have Sweat and Chase on opposite ends who are both raw killers. Just need a bit of refinement. That's the only reason why I say Jack might take that hot seat.
No, I'm with you there. I mean, I think the expectations for the defense they're high. I think they've been high, really from that first season, when they jumped out and they were on the scene and everybody's like, oh, right, this is something. And then the second year they took a huge step back. A lot of it was they talked about guys playing individually, not playing as one individual unit. And then this past season, those guys couldn't get their hands on the football. There was no turnovers. They ranked like 26th or 27th, maybe 28th in the league in turnovers. So their first choice, they go and get Emmanuel Forbes. A guy has a SEC record of pick sixes, 6 of them, right? So guy gets his hands on the football. You go get a versatile guy like Quan Martin. That guy, he can tackle, he can cover. I see this defense lining up in a nickel set base. That's their base look, right? 4 or 5 down, a linebacker or 2. But it's going to be at least 3 safeties, a couple of corners. And, if it's a pure passing down or matchup wise, I could see Emmanuel Forbes, coming in there to match up against those quick and shifty receivers on the inside. If St. Juice is healthy, that's a great thing to have because his health has been a bit questionable, ending the last year. But him and Forrest together, those guys, they really play well off of each other. So, you still trusting Kendall Fuller to hold his side down. You got Cam Curl that's floating around, and there's so many interchangeable pieces. Like if I'm Jack Del Rio, I'm up all night and I'm just trying to figure out what mix and match is just going to generate, that premier matchup and that premier lineup for me. Now, I think that he's going to have about 3 or 4 of them. Because I could see, against Philly, you probably want a Quan Martin to be playing in the slot, right? Because they run the ball a lot. Somebody that can put eyes on the quarterback, handle a lot of that quick stuff, not be afraid to get up and tackle somebody. But now you go play Dallas, team is going to be a true 3 receivers, spread out a little bit wider. You probably bring Emmanuel Forbes in, let him match up on a CeeDee Lamb on the inside, and try to stick with him with his quickness and ability that way. So, there's each week you're going to see something different, but I think everybody's going to contribute in a specific way, right? Everybody has their skill set that they are brought here for, and they're going to get put on the field that way. So, don't be surprised if you don't see a whole lot of Emmanuel Forbes early. But if you're playing against a running team, you're probably not going to see that guy. He's a little thin, which is perfectly fine. I'd rather put Quan Martin in there. You go up there and bang up against some tight ends and some running backs. But whenever I need somebody to get out there and lock somebody down in the slot, Emmanuel, go do your thing. So that's what I got. That's what I think.
Yeah, I like that because we're gonna play. We got some teams we're gonna play. We got San Francisco on our roster or on our play schedule. We got Buffalo, Philly, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith, a Heisman Trophy winner and a guy who had 1,400 yards last year. Dallas, like you said, CeeDee Lamb, they just acquired Brandon Cooks. Giants, I'm not too worried about, even though they did kind of shred it. I remember really shredded us with Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and Richie James. But they had a Darren Waller, who was a quality tight end. It's just health. But I agree. If I would rather see someone like Quan Martin taking on a George Kittle than Forbes, because Forbes, like I said, is on the skinnier side, but he might pair well with Devontae Smith, being they're both about 160. I think they're both 6'2", 6'3" ish. They're taller, but they're skinnier on that end.
Yeah.
And they're both speedsters, so I want to see that matchup. And I can't wait. I just hope, like you said, 28th in turnovers. Yeah, we had 3 against Philly in the last game. I think we had 2 against Dallas, but we had almost none in the first 5 games.
Yeah, it was a drought. It was a drought for a while. But once you started to see, once Cam Curl came back, and he started calling the defense, that's when things kind of started to click, right? The communication was there. You actually had people lined up in the right position doing the thing they needed to do. I mean, frankly, Jamin Davis's play improved because he was able to just play fast, right? See ball, get ball. He knew who he had to match up with, and he was quick to do it. So he's really improved last year. I'm excited to see what he does this season as well.
Ballers, hold up. We got a few sponsors we need to personally thank for here at Ballin and Burgundy. First, our guy Washington on the Daily, both on Instagram and YouTube. Huge sponsor. We want to give our massive thanks out to them. You can follow Washington on the Daily, both on Instagram and on Twitter, WSH on the Daily. Our guy Tony, who's Pro Tech Sports Network. Huge thanks to him. I met up with him at the Commanders-Vikings game. Huge thanks to him. Our guy Sanchez at On the Warpath podcast over on YouTube and on Instagram. And then finally, our guy Rio Robinson, Mr. Rambling with Rio himself, our new sponsor, and a huge thanks to him. Met up with him at the Vikings Commanders game as well. So thank you to him. Again, huge thanks. So again, all of their Instagrams and YouTubes are going to be down in the description. You guys go follow all of them. And again, one big thank you to Rio, Tony, Sanchez, Washington on the Daily for being sponsors of not only today's video, but Ballin and Burgundy as a podcast. Get back to work.
And now we return you to our regular scheduled program.
I'm excited to hear about this draft. What's this draft that you was talking about, John?
I was about to get into that because we kind of merged the next segment. We were going to talk about the July 20th meeting, but we had kind of done one of these numbers, so I'm not going to hold us to it. So for those who tuned in last episode, Andrew, myself, and Tony, the Pro Tech Sports Network podcast host over there on Instagram and YouTube, he's family to us. We did an NFL jersey draft. So we did every type of jersey. I took San Francisco's throwback. I took the Miami throwbacks. Andrew, I think you took I took the Chargers powder blue. You took the Rams 2005 blue. It was a good draft. We're gonna do something fantasy football like. So we're gonna each pick a quarterback, a running back, 2 receivers, a tight end, and an offensive line, meaning the unit, not just I want Jordan Mailata, I want Creed Humphrey, and I want Trent Williams. If I could do that, I would, but I can't. But if you want O-line, you want Eagles O-line, you can grab it. And we're going to do kind of a snake order. So we're going to start off with Mr. Armstrong, then me, then Andrew, then
Justin. You go first. Lead the way so I can make sure I follow in. I don't want to break the rules and pick the wrong thing. So you go first. I'll pick second or third. I'm good to go a little bit later.
I'll make Mr. Armstrong second. Andrew, you've got third. Justin, you've got fourth and fifth, kind of like a snake. So I'll start, and then Mr. Armstrong, and then Andrew, and then Justin hits it twice, and then kind of back around, like fantasy football. So with my first overall pick, and this is based on 2022, this isn't, true fantasy football stats. If that was the case, I would take someone like Jalen Hurts first overall, but I won't. This is purely based on play, record, stats, all that. My first choice, and they go in order. If you want to take receiver 1, O-line 1, that I want to see these differences. My 1 of 1, I'm going to take someone who, in my opinion, will finished the greatest tight end in NFL history. And if he retired right now, he would be in the Hall of Fame. And that is the one, the only, the single stud, Travis Kelce.
You can't go wrong there.
I had to do it.
You can't go wrong there. So Travis Kelce is off the board. You're building your offense, right?
Yep.
And then you say O-line is just you pick the whole entire group, right?
Yep,
or you pick an individual player.
Yep. So like if you wanted Trent Williams, you'd have to take the whole Niners offensive line.
Okay, fair enough. Got it. Okay, cool. So Travis Kelce is gone. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So with that, then I think that you gotta. I feel like I'm gonna go ahead and take his quarterback. I'm gonna take Patrick Mahomes and just go ahead and put that out there. He's been so special. I mean, obviously he's won a couple Super Bowls, been there a few times. I just remember back when I met with Dave Ross, who was formerly of Fox and DC, met with him when he was in Chicago. I went down to his studio and we did a little episode. We were talking about the draft, and it was the year that Patrick Mahomes came out. And I said, everybody else, they're talking about these other guys, but this Patrick Mahomes guy, I said, you got to pay attention to him. I said, pay attention with Kansas City. For whatever reason, I felt like that was going to be a potential spot. And lo and behold, Andy Reid traded up. You got Patrick Mahomes, and the rest is history. So, not saying I know what I'm talking about, but I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes, man. Best quarterback in the game right now. He's special. He makes a lot of people better. He's won with Tyreek Hill. He's won without Tyreek Hill. But he's always had Travis Kelce. So, give me Patrick Mahomes.
I like that. To me, the Chiefs are like Golden State. They did it with KD and without KD. They did it with Tyreek and without Tyreek. So that's the way I put it. Andrew, you have the third overall pick in this 2023 BIB offense draft.
Of course, my pick got taken right in front of me, so I got to change up a few things here. I don't know if I want to go with running back or wide receiver here.
And just a reminder, you get one running back and two wide receivers, so you can balance it out.
I think I got to go with wide receiver here. I'm going to take usually the consensus top wide receiver in the NFL right now, Justin Jefferson. He is a receiver that I've been impressed with for multiple reasons. I mean, I've seen nothing against Kirk Cousins at all. I love him. I think he's a very talented quarterback. He isn't top tier like Mahomes or like, Joe Burrow or whoever. And I mean, all these other top receivers have these also really dynamic and top quarterbacks to go along with him. And Kirk Cousins, he's good. I like him. But he isn't, I think, not having a top tier quarterback elevates him even beyond what we normally see. I mean, you see it just throughout his huge numbers, absolutely insane receiving yard seasons, really amazing route running, great hands, everything you want in a top tier receiver you have in Justin Jefferson. So I'm taking him as my wide receiver one.
All right. I was hoping that would work its way back around, but nope. Not so lucky. JB, you're up. You sleep over there?
Yeah, totally. I'm definitely sleeping. I'm just waiting my turn. Of course, he took my pick. Go figure. So my first round pick, I'm taking Jamar Chase. I mean, all around wide receiver. He's just a dog. He'll bully you. Good route runner. Good hands.
Yeah.
He'd fit any offense in the league.
I like it. Well, you're right back up though, right? You're
just 4 and 5. It goes around and just bounces back.
Yep. So my second pick, I'm going that Niners O-line. That O-line, I need a good O-line. Help whatever running back, quarterback, whoever I got. It starts in the trenches.
Yep.
Yeah. What was the team you took?
Niners. You took the Niners O-line.
That's what I figured.
Is it me now?
It is now Andrew's time.
So This one might be somewhat controversial, not hugely controversial, but maybe a little bit. I'm gonna take Derrick Henry for my running back. And the reason I'm doing him over other running backs or other positions, players, whatever, he is behind a very not top tier offensive line. They've been sort of towards the bottom in the league for run blocking, yet he still manages to have these incredible seasons. And he's first in the league for yards after contact. And he's shown that he's absolutely dominant in like every single situation. He's a huge beast that just cannot be stopped. I think he's arguably the best running back in the league.
All right. Yeah, shoot, man. I didn't expect you to pick a free agent. But Derrick Henry is dangerous. I mean, you really change your mind whenever you got to tackle this guy, right? You're like, oh, I don't really want to. Maybe we just give him the first down so we can go somebody else. But oh man, my next selection. So I already got Patrick Mahomes. I feel like after that, I don't really got to do too much, right? Just let him get out there and cook. But with so much talent out there and available, I am going to. I got to give him somebody to throw the ball to. Okay, I'm gonna give him somebody to throw the ball to, and it would be easy to go off and get like a Tyreek Hill, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna get another young receiver. Um, let's get a guy in Burgundy. Let's get Jahan Dotson. I think Jahan is an up and coming superstar in this league. He can run routes inside, outside. He's competitive. He's strong. He can do a lot. And then, frankly, there's a lot of other receivers that I could have taken. But I just think that Jahan is a guy that you saw what he did when he had two and a half, three quarterbacks to work with last year. If you give him a good quarterback, at least let's say a consistent quarterback all season, I would expect his talent to improve. So I'm gonna take Jahan Dotson with my pick.
I like it.
I like that. I was not expecting Jahan Dotson.
I wasn't either.
I heard of Jay. I was like, "Is he say Jordan Addison? Because he's new." I heard of Jay. I got worried, but Jahan Dotson.
I was almost thinking Garrett Wilson, but I was like, honestly, I'll give me Jahan. Give me Jahan. Let's be loyal to the brand.
That's fair. Derrick Henry is a good one. I mean, like you said, 2,000 yards. I mean, he had that record-breaking season. He is the Titans' offense. He is King Henry. He is their favorite type of chocolate bar. Oh, Henry. So I like that. So I have the next two picks. There's a lot I could go here. I'm gonna go QB. I'm gonna go someone who was just in a Super Bowl in the last 3 years, who really that was his rookie year, was the Super Bowl. I'm gonna go with Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Burrow.
I mean, that's a hell of a matchup with. I mean, you tie in Kelsey, like that's not a bad decision there.
No, not at all. Because I mean, you want to talk about poised. You want to talk about the big moments. You want to talk about national champion. Should have been a Super Bowl winner if he had another second in front of Aaron Donald, and he might have gone Jamar Chase. I mean, Mahomes makes mistakes. He made mistakes when we played him 2 years ago. Joe Burrow isn't making these types of flimsy throws and mistakes. But I have the next pick, and I got a lot of talent left on the board. And I'm gonna go. I need someone to protect Joe Burrow because he died in 2020 when Chase Young took him off the field. But I'm gonna go with a division rival. I'm gonna go with the Eagles' offensive line. They might have lost Somalio, but I think with the pieces that they got in the draft and free agency, and you still have Jason Kelsey, you still have Jordan Mailata, I think it's quality. If you can protect Jalen Hurts, who runs around, I think you can protect Joe Shiesty.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burr.
And the Philly O-line. I need to pick an O-line before I'm out here getting my head beat in. But I will say I truly feel that a lot of there's one thing about offensive line just being able to just straight up protect people, but there's a lot of communication between the quarterback, offensive coordinator, getting the ball in and out of your hands, having a lot of just quick delivery, right? Not sitting back there trying to figure out what the hell you're doing. So I want to continue to stack. I want to keep stacking some playmakers in this one here. So let's see. Do I want to go another receiver here? Do I want to go? I'm going to go with another receiver. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give myself a big time playmaker here. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf. Right? DK Metcalf. Once again, a lot of names to choose from, but he's a physical specimen, man. I mean, I'd like to think that you could just throw him the ball on a slant. He'll break a couple of tackles, run somebody over, and then run away from the rest of the team. So give me DK Metcalf. He'll be opposite of Jahan Dotson. That'll be a dynamic duo for Team Armstrong.
I like that. I like that. Andrew, my friend, you have picked numero 11.
Yep. 11.
I was about to say numero 11.
That'd be 11, yeah.
Well, I was hoping for Joe Shiesty to follow me, but now that that's off the table, I don't even have the Eagles' offensive line. I've got to put it on the shift here. I'm gonna go. Are we doing D-line?
No, I was not thinking D-line. I should have thought D-line.
Okay, never mind then.
No.
Give me the Browns offensive line. I feel like I think they are a top 3 offensive line, and I would like to grab a good offensive line before they disappear. They have shown that they can do great things for Nick Chubb and help him to success. Also, he is a very good running back. Not going to ignore that.
That's true.
Yeah.
But they're pretty dominant last season, so I'm gonna grab them and protect whoever my quarterback will end up being.
All righty,
team QB yet.
Don't. Right,
thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna take Justin Herbert here.
Oh.
I mean, top 5 quarterback. Yes, he kind of got the Tony Romo 2.0 vibe of disappointment for playoffs, but I think he better system, a better head coach, because I've heard some rumors about him and his head coach weren't getting along the best last season. He's just got to get some new light. And my what are we, fourth pick? I'm taking Christian McCaffrey, a healthy Christian McCaffrey. I mean, this dude could catch, he could run, he could hop, he could spin, he's just your all around running back.
Yeah, I
forgot about that guy.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Because in one game he threw, ran, and caught a touchdown all in one game. I think it was his debut San Francisco game. That's
ridiculous.
It was rough. I feel bad for that team. If you let one man do that on top of your head, I'm sorry.
Can't be happy.
I can't help you. Can't help you. Andrew, my friend, you were back at it.
It's me?
It's back at it. It's a snake. Remember, it goes down. One way.
Yeah, I remember. Okay. There's one quarterback who I want, but I think all of you guys have got quarterbacks now, right?
I've got one. Yeah.
I know. I got one.
So I'm going to save quarterback for last thing because nobody else is going to take him. So instead, I'm going to go with my wide receiver 2 as Tyreek Hill. There we go.
I like that.
I think he could end up being the wide receiver 1 at the end of this season. He showed the same sort of stuff as Justin Jefferson, except he's just faster. He's crazy fast. Healthy. Well, I mean, I'm not going to pick Tua, but, in real life, a healthy Tua, as long as he's not still concussed and is fully, I think he's going to put on a show this season and make a case for the leading receiver.
I like
I
that.
like it. Tyreek. Forgot about Tyreek. I should have picked Tyreek.
That is a good one.
It's okay.
I don't know.
I got
You could
high,
1-2 in Jahan and DK. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. I'm a guy that looks to get I like to have good value across the board, right? I want you to look and say, like, well, if we double DK, what you got Jahan 1-on-1? You're like, good point. Right? There's a lot of times you'll be able to kind of single things out, but I'm gonna go ahead and add myself I'm gonna add a running back in this instance here. Lot of talented players out there. You mentioned Nick Chubb earlier. He's a good running back. Somebody you could add. There's a lot of young guys that are coming off injury. Brees Hall's one. Seattle has a couple of young running backs, but I'm gonna go on ahead and swipe up. I'm gonna pick a man on a mission. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take Saquon Barkley. Man on a mission. He should have gotten the bag, even though Daniel Jones earned it, if you will. He got it, but Saquon probably should have been the one to get it just to making that offense go. So give me Saquon Barkley. The guy can run, he can catch. He will really gash you if you give him the opportunity. So I'm going to go with Quan.
I do like that. See, now I have a lot of options because I've already got my tight end, my QB, and my O-line. So I'm going to go with my first receiver on the board. I'm going to go with someone who actually just designed a wallpaper for those who I do run an art page. I'm a graphic designer and I've redone jerseys. I've done posts. So if y'all follow me, JRD18 on Instagram, I do a lot of that. So sneak peek for next Wednesday. So I'm going to go with a triple crown wide receiver, 2021 offensive player of the year. In my opinion, the best receiver in 2021. That is the Red Solo Cup, Cooper Kupp.
Oh. The guy gets open against everybody. He's such a good player, very talented. Cooper Kupp. That's a good pick. That's a good pick, John. Very good pick.
I do appreciate you. I've got Travis Kelce and Cooper Kupp on the same team. Defenses are afraid in my second day.
You gonna throw the ball 5 to 7 yards a pop, but everybody's gonna be wide open. You know what I mean? Everybody's gonna be wide the hell open.
That is true. Well, I got the next pick. I got the back-to-back, but I'm gonna go running back now. And there are great running backs left in the league. And I could pick someone like an Austin Eckler. I could pick someone like Brian Robinson. I could pick someone who people may not know, but I think deserves all the credit in the world for what he did with this team, for how low their expectation was. I'm going with a man out of the Northwest. I'm going with Kenneth Walker out of Seattle.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Strong rookie season. I mean, Pete Carroll's been he's rebuilt the monster out there and being able to run the ball behind Geno Smith, and then now you add the young guy, Jackson Smith, Najigba, and all he seems to do is make highlight reel plays, as you see on social media. So, ain't a bad pickup there. I was thinking about old young Walker out of Seattle. But Andrew's up though. Let's see what Andrew does here.
Actually, no, it is you, Mr. Armstrong.
I'm up again
because you're number 2.
Oh, you show right. We snaked. We didn't. All right, so cool. So I'm looking at an O lineman and a tight end. Those are my last 2 picks, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. For what it's worth, I don't put a whole lot of value into tight end. Just when I play Madden, that's just because I don't throw the guy a ball a lot. But that doesn't mean that I won't, really try to, implement that guy and add him to the roster. But I'm gonna go O-line in this instance, and the only reason I'm gonna go with this O-line, and I want to double check my stats, so I want to make sure I get the right one.
You are all good, my friend. You are all good.
I want to make sure I get the right one because I want to say I'm going to pick this particular team's offensive line. That's not right. I'm gonna take Kansas City Chiefs O-line. Now, this is the old O-line. This is the O-line from the past years. And the biggest reason is this. They gave up 26 sacks last year. Washington had about 40 some odd sacks, about 50 some odd sacks that they suffered last year, right? So if you're looking at Patrick Mahomes, he obviously was the starter pretty much the whole entire year. 26 sacks on the year. It's not necessarily great, but it's formidable. Like I said before, offensive line has to do with the passing game, quarterback getting the ball out of his hands. So I'm going to say the continuity between that offensive line and the quarterback that I selected will rule the day. So give me that Kansas City Chiefs O-line. They know what I'm trying to do here.
Like it. Pairing them up with Mahomes.
Exactly. Continuity, man. We know what you're thinking already.
Exactly. All right, so I'm up now, aren't I?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
Yes, you are, my friend.
So I'm going to go ahead and take tight end here, since I'm saving quarterback for last. And I feel like I need to go with Mark Andrews.
There it is.
He's been someone constantly double covered, and every defense he goes up against has been trying to squash him because he's been their mainly only target, except this year Ravens beefed their receiving core, so it's not going to be the case as much this year. Yet he still always manages to get open and make these either amazing catches, big plays, whatever. Special player, and I think he is arguably the tight end 2 in the league right now. It can be argued for a couple other players for sure, but in my opinion, I would put him as the tight end 2 behind Kelsey.
I like that.
I agree with you there.
I do agree. I mean, obviously, everyone knows Kyle Pitts is the greatest. I know. Let me stop.
Stop.
We got to find a way to mute him.
I control all the power. All right, Justin, you have the next 2.
Yes, I do. And I'm going home talent here. I'm going Terry McLaurin.
All right.
My boy, Scary Terry.
There we go.
I think him and Jamar, that's a scary duo. I mean, you better have at least 2 elite defensive backs to slow them boys down.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I'm going TJ Hawkinson, tight end. I mean,
had my name on
jump.
that guy.
Jump ball, tight end, good hands, could hold a block for more than 5 seconds, you know. I mean, what not you don't like about him at all?
That I didn't even have Hawkinson in the back of my mind. I was like, it's Kelsey and Andrews, and if I can't get those, I will scramble later. I didn't have Hawkinson on my board. That's a quality pick for the 5th round. That's a quality pick.
Good pick. Good value.
I was hoping he was going to get all the way back down there for me because that was one of the names I had my mind on. Getting traded from Detroit to Minnesota. I'm sure he was thankful for that.
Probably.
Sorry, I'm a mind reader.
Did I pick a running back already?
Yes, you have. Andrew, it is your turn, but yes, you have picked a running back, my friend. You picked Saquon.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Andrew, it is your go, my friend.
All right, so for my long-awaited quarterback pick, I am not taking Jalen Hurts. I am not taking Josh Allen. I am taking Justin Fields, who I think can be better than both of them. Can be. Not necessarily will be, can be. And here's why I think that. He's been behind a weak offensive line with no star receivers. Yet he's still shown flashes of this unshown talent. It will still shown, but I mean, we've seen how good he is while not having the same weapons or offensive line that other really good quarterbacks have. He has so much talent, and now that he has, would you say, a better offensive line?
It definitely improved. You got I think you got what's his name? Out of Tennessee, the offensive tackle out of Tennessee, right?
Yeah, Darnell Wright.
Darnell Wright, yep.
And then also now a real wide receiver 1, DJ Moore, right? Yep. I think he's going to absolutely ball out this season. and make a case for a top 3 quarterback in the league. So that's my pick. I think he's going to be amazing.
Sneaky pick right there, man.
That is sneaky. That's got high hopes too.
It is sneaky. It's bold. It's bold. That's one of those picks where you've already stacked, like you've done. You've stacked all your starters and your backups,
Yep.
and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna get a quarterback now, and they're like, in round 12, you're like, finally, yes, I've set you guys up for what I was looking to add. Okay, so here we go. I'm up. Tight end. And frankly, I mean, I'm looking at the list of just statistics. There's not a lot of sexy names out there. And I've already said my tight end spot, I'm not looking for he to do a whole bunch other than block and then make a few catches here and there. But if I'm talking about blocking, we already spoke about this guy, and you may try to bring him into your O line with San Francisco, but I'm not going to allow that to happen. I will take George Kittle, about to be 30 years old. He's one of probably the premier blocking tight end in the league. So that'll help Saquon, and it'll help add that extra body whenever we do decide to run the ball. But he's also able to catch the ball, and he can get out and run some routes and create some mismatch problems. Because I mean, you think about it, Washington has to play San Francisco this year. That's going to be a Quan Martin, Cam Curl type of matchup. You have Kittle, but you also have to know that he's going to put his hands on you and try to pancake you into the ground. So, George Kittle, come on down, baby. Welcome to Team Armstrong.
I was waiting on Kittle too. I was like, do I need to put in another rule? It's like I can get 2 tight ends because I also have him and Kelsey. If you didn't grab them, but I have the greatest tight end duo of all time. But okay, that there we go. So Kittle. So Mahomes doesn't have Kelsey, but now he has Kittle. He goes from TK to GK. I like that. I like that. I'm gonna add a new rule here because 24 to me is an odd number. I'm gonna go to a nice 28. So after I go, everyone will get one more pick at a running back. So everyone will have 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, because that's how an offense generally runs. If you only have 1 running back, either he's the greatest of all, either he's Barry Sanders, or you've done fucked up. So I'll make the next 2 picks, and then Justin will have the ultimate last pick. Everyone will get 1 more running back. Just then you can even out the injuries. But I have another receiver and running back. I'm gonna go receiver again. And I am thinking of a man who is one of the top 5 greatest receivers out there. And I think going from a place with a Hall of Fame quarterback to what he says will also be a Hall of Fame quarterback, I'm going to go with another number 17 in Davante Adams.
Okay. Yep.
So I have
that guy.
So I have Cooper Kupp and Davante Adams on the same team.
Your route running is going to be ridiculous with that team. Like that route running is just like, it's almost unfair to think about it. Just the way that they handle their business.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good set of receivers. Okay. So is this our one extra pick?
This is our 1 extra pick. So I will go, and then everyone will get 1 extra pick for running backs. Everyone will have like 2 receivers, 2 running backs.
Okay.
So
got it.
My last running back, let's see. I have someone who can truly run the ball in Kenneth Walker. I need someone who is not only a baller on the field, but off the field. I'm going to go with someone who won me my fantasy championship league. I'm going to go with number 30 out of SoFi Stadium. I'm going Austin Eckler.
Yes, I knew it.
I had to do it. He won my fantasy league by like 50 points.
I'm not mad at that. That's a good pickup. I mean, the guy was 5th in the league in receptions. 107 receptions out of the backfield. Next closest running back was Christian McCaffrey with 85.
McCaffrey was on 2 teams.
And he was on 2 teams, right? So, I mean, that's shit. I ain't mad at that. Cause that was my pick. If it was going to turn around, I was like, Austin Eckler, let's get this thing moving. Okay, so I got Saquon Barkley. I get to add another running back to this thing.
Yes, sir.
I think for what it's worth, Give me, this is receiving stats, so that's not really what I want to be looking at. I think I want to go with this one guy, the guy out of Cleveland. I think that's what I want to add is Nick Chubb. I want to make sure, but then I also got Josh Jacobs.
You have a lot of options left on the board.
Give me Josh Jacobs, 24 years old, 1,600 yards last year, 12 rushing touchdowns, a long of 86. Between him and Saquon Barkley, we just hand the ball off all day long. I want Josh Jacobs, man. Give me him.
I like that. I do like that. That is a running back who should absolutely either get his money or get traded is Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to just be like, oh, just trade him. I'm like, man, people like I can't speak for everybody, but I wouldn't want to get traded. Like that's a lot of change. And there's no guarantee that you're gonna be able to have that same type of success in a new spot. But that's either here
or be happy. Or be happy somewhere. Or be happy somewhere. I'm about to say I'm a Navy brat, so I moved every 2 years. I think I moved 7 or 8 times before I turned 18. So I was like, what who am I? Brandon Cooks is getting traded every other season? Like, what am I?
It's like if you don't move, you don't feel right.
Exactly.
Hey, Andrew, what you got?
Well, since you're leaving me him, I'm going to have to pair my running back up with the Browns offensive line, who I took earlier, with Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb. There it is.
I mean, absolute beast, great at finding holes, exploding through the line. I mean, he's just incredible. Yep. Now I got that connection with him and the Browns offensive line. So I'm very happy with that. Thank you for leaving him for me.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. Glad to be of service, sir.
Justin, my friend, you have the what is it? The last pick. I believe it's the word is penultium. Penultium.
Beats the hell out of me. Alrighty. For my last pick, I'm picking let's see here. How about Dameon Pierce?
Oh, okay.
Coming out of Texans this year.
Oh boy.
The dude reminded me Beast Mode 2.0. I mean, there's some of the highlights people were on his back and he was sitting there still running. I mean, it took 3, 4, 5 people just to get him down at times, but he just runs with so much force. And, Team J over here, he'd go well with my team in that O-line. Yeah. Trent Williams would lead the way.
That team is going to be good.
That is
sneaky team. They're going to surprise some people.
That's really nice. I was not expecting Dameon Pierce, and I'm a Florida boy, and I was not expecting that. With the amount of names left out there, I was not expecting Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, because nobody got Jonathan Taylor at all either.
I'm sitting there looking at Jonathan Taylor's name is there. Tony Pollard is there. Travis Etienne, Dalvin Cook, Miles Sanders. Isaiah Pacheco for his little bit of a productivity he had this year. There's a lot of really good. Shoot.
He's all like Andrew just said. You have our guys and Gibson and Robinson still there.
I think someone took Robinson.
No one. No.
Nobody did.
No one took a Washington tight end. Oh, no one took Washington tight end, running back, or QB. They all took their receivers out of Washington.
I'll be real with you. I've said before that I could see myself selecting Sam Howell for fantasy football this year, and it would be in one of those situations to where you stack. You're like Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, and you just get all the biggest names everywhere else, and you don't fulfill that quarterback spot until later, because people are going to overlook Sam Howell, and it's basically a boom or bust type of a play, right? Instead of just saying I'm going to go get Patrick Mahomes early and guarantee them, screw that. Let me get some points across the board in these other positions, and then trust in the fact that Sam Howell is gonna have a few good games here and there. That'll probably help me win some things. So I like Sam Howell coming into this season. I think that he's going to be able to just distribute the ball to his playmakers. He's gonna make Justin look right on that Terry McLaurin selection.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know it.
Yes, he will. But this was actually a really good draft. Some of these selections I was not expecting. So I'm gonna just go run over, and I'll put all the teams on the on screen when I go to edit this. But for those who want to skip to the end, so I took Travis Kelce, Joe Burrow, Philly O-line, Cooper Kupp, Kenneth Walker, Devontae Adams, and Austin Eckler. Our good friend and guest, Mr. Armstrong, took Patty Mahomes, Jahan Dotson, DK Metcalf, Saquon Barkley, the Chiefs O-line, George Kittle, and Josh Jacobs. Andrew stacked the deck.
Yeah.
Jay Jettas, Justin Jefferson, King O. Henry, the Cleveland Browns O-line, the Cheetah and Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews, Justin Fields, and Nicholas Chubb. And Justin also kind of stacked towards the front. Jamar Chase, Niners offensive line, the man with probably the best hair in the NFL, and Justin Herbert. CMC, Run CMC, and Christian McCaffrey. Scary Terry McLaurin, TJ Hawkinson, and probably the sneakiest pick in the draft in Dameon Pierce. That is beautiful. I don't think anybody lost this draft. I don't think no one lost this.
I know I did. I know I didn't. I mean, this is one of the things, like, when you play fantasy football and you have 10 teams, like, everybody gets a pretty solid team. But once you get to like 12 and 14 teams, it is like, if you miss, like, your season is shot. Like, your little money that you put on that league is over with. I remember I played a league and we had, who did I have? I didn't get to do my draft, and I got stuck with Daniel Jones. And it wasn't Daniel Jones from last year. It was Daniel Jones, like, the previous year.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't very good football that was being played. Basically, I lost from the beginning. And I just knew that's what it was. And I knew that I wasn't going to get the performance out of that quarterback position that I needed. But that was a good draft. That was definitely fun to do. Fun to kind of pick around and play GM a little bit.
For sure. Yeah, because like I said, I won my fantasy league. So first off, I was at work the night our draft, my fantasy football league draft. So I got auto drafted the entire roster, but I made some trades. I cheaped some people out, and I traded like Tom Brady and Brandon Cooks for like Nick Chubb, and it paid off spectacular. Because I think someone had Kirk Cousins and like who's the receiver? They had some bad receiver. I was like, I'll give you Brady and Cooks. I just want Chubb. And Chubb did me wonders. If I can find my fantasy league. Yeah. So this was my final roster that won me my league. I was 206 to their 158. I had T-Law, Chubb, Eckler, AJ Brown, Christian Watson, Dawson Knox, Kenneth Walker off waivers, Philly defense, and Robbie Gould as my kicker.
It's a good team.
You cheated.
I did.
You cheated.
I think I cheated too.
But he paid it. He paid somebody to trade players.
This was no money spent, but this was his team. This was the funny thing. This was his team. He had Joe Burrow, CMC, Leonard Fournette, Jalen Waddle, Monroe St. Brown, Pat Freiermuth, Tyreek Hill, the Tennessee defense, and Brett Maher. Brett Maher did no points against Washington in Week 18 because he had no field goals and he had missed the extra point.
Oh, I remember that. That was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Funny fantasy, my best ever fantasy team. Now, this is hilarious. This is back in middle school. We had 16 people or whatever it is, 16, 12. That's the limit for fantasy. Oh, it was. I had Peyton Manning. I had Reggie Wayne. And, like, none of these guys produced at all. And my one buddy who lived in a rich family, he actually paid everybody to trade all their players so he could win for bragging rights.
Oh, jeez.
Just to impress some girl who was in her league. It was hilarious.
Oh, man. See, you got to hold him hostage. You got to hold me. You want me to lose so you can get this girl? Shoot.
Oh, wrong sport, but he struck out. Strike 3, he was out.
That is fair. But that will about end things here on the belated episode. We were meant to get this done earlier, but Andrew, Justin, our schedules for whatever reason decided not to link up. But we got you guys a hell of an episode. We talked about Mr. Armstrong experiencing the NFL, what he thinks our Commanders will do, what we all think they'll do, a little bit of our January 20th predictions, and essentially a fantasy football snake draft. For those who didn't tune into the beginning, like I said, he is a co-host over on the Believe in Commanders podcast, and I will attach at the minimum the Instagram link, and if it's on Spotify or any other social media sites and streaming sites, I will put the links all in the description. Tag him and all the posts we will do. Everything. And Mr. Armstrong, we cannot thank you enough. I've said in the email and the text that we are thankful and blessed and honored to have you on tonight, especially being at a later night for everyone, but just a great day all around.
Got me up past my bedtime, John. Man, that's all good though, man. The JAJ over there holding it down. Appreciate y'all having me, man. Y'all check me out, Believe in Commanders podcasts on all your streaming platforms. I just changed my Twitter handle to Rated Armstrong. It matches my Instagram and the TikTok that I don't use that much, and Threads too. I got a Threads, so I'm kind of. I say I'm learning how to use it. You just kind of got to use it and then figure out what works. But for me, it is for like, I'll start a thread on a topic and then just let's have a conversation about that particular topic. So you want to hit me up on any of those platforms, folks. It's Rated Armstrong across the board. Believe in Commanders podcast, man. I appreciate y'all having me. It's past my bedtime. I need to go to bed.
Absolutely. We will not hold you to it, guys. Like I said, go over to all of his social media sites, follow, subscribe. Y'all do what you got to do. Do what we know y'all will do and support him. If you're in the Texas area and you're looking for real estate, go hit him up. I'll put a link to his real estate stuff down in the description because business helps, whether it's social media or on the present, it helps. And if you guys, obviously, if you're a subscriber here, like and subscribe on the video. Go, shout out all of our sponsors. I'll put that in the edit later. Guys, Andrew, Justin, it's been a pleasure, fellas. Mr. Armstrong, and just can't thank you enough. And we will let all of us get to bed. Anything else y'all want to add before we hop off?
Man, look, I don't know what else I got to add for you. What you say?
Can we maybe talk about the fantasy possibility?
I'll make a separate video about that.
Sounds good.
So that we can let Mr. Armstrong get to bed because I'm not far behind.
Yeah. Hey, we seriously appreciate you though for joining this pod.
No problem, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for inviting me. I really do appreciate it, man. And shout out to all the Washington fans and Washington faithful, because y'all are exactly that, man. I appreciate that. It means a lot from my heart to y'all. I appreciate y'all very much. And y'all have yourselves a good evening, all right?
Absolutely. I say have a good one. Again, we appreciate you coming on. Guys, like I said, like, subscribe, go follow Mr. Armstrong on all of his sites. And don't forget to stay ballin'. We'll see y'all out there.